Hi and welcome to this lesson on the Elise Duet Concertina on the famous old sea shanty Drunken Sailor. I'd like to say thank you to Bill, my sponsor, as always. Thank you very much, Bill. I hope you're enjoying these lessons. This famous sea shanty is in the D Dorian mode, which is a special type of scale which has the same notes as C major but running from D to D. Now, if you're not sort of steeped in music reading, that won't mean a lot to you. It's going to feel like you're playing in the key of D minor, but with that key, you would expect the B to be flattened. In this tune, it isn't. So the notes would be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. See, no sharps or flats. The range of this tune is from the low middle C note, which is row 1, button 1, and it goes as high as the D on row 3, button 3, this one here. So from low C up to D, so it's just over an octave. The verse and the chorus are similar, but with different timings to suit the amount of words and rhythm. Before you start to play this tune, pull the bellows out a fair way. You're starting on the pull, but if you begin with the bellows too closed up, you'll find that when you return on the push, you may run out of air and then the bellows will close completely before you've played all the notes in bar 4. So, pull them out a fair way first and you'll be good to go. We'll talk about the left hand, the bass accompaniment first, because this is a bit special. When I arranged this tune, the idea was to have an pa kind of bass line. But on this Elise instrument, my low C note is very sluggish. I have had some advice from Red Cow, the shop that sells these concertinas in this country, and Steve there told me to try a little trick on that, which I haven't had a chance to yet. So what I'm going to say on this, I'm going to lose the and just do the pa. Okay, now if you don't know what I mean by that, it'll soon become clear. This actually sounds fine, and you don't want to crowd the right hand tune anyway with too much in the bass. This means that when you play the accompaniment for the D minor chord, you'll play just the F and A notes together off the beat. Now the F is row 2, button 1, and the A is row 2, button 3. So use fingers 3 and 1 on those, and you'll play 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So playing those little pa patterns, 1 and 2 and, like that. Now though those chords written as quavers, that's the second and fourth items in that first bar in the bass, you'll probably play them much shorter than that. You'll keep them very staccato, which means short and detached, so they won't sustain for a full half beat. So that was for when you see the D minor as the chord above the stave. When you see C major or C as the chord, you'll do the same thing but on 2 different notes. You'll be playing E note and a G note together. Okay, so the E is row 1, button 3, and the G is row 2, button 2. So it's those 2 buttons there. And I suggest you use finger 1 on the E and finger 2 on the G. The plan was to do for the D minor. Now you had the part, and the would have been the root note, the D. The C would have ended up like this. Okay, but it's probably too difficult to do that anyway, and like I said earlier, you probably don't need all that, just the pa will be enough. I'll come back to that when I show you how to play the tune. That just gives you a bit of an idea of what we're going to be doing. On the end of both the verse and the chorus, we're going to be playing a full D minor chord, which is the notes D, F and A. So that's row 1, button 2, row 2, button 1, row 2, button 3, fingers 2, 3 and 1. And that's a little sort of V-shaped triangle. Like I say, don't worry too much about that. I'll be coming back to all this a bit later on. In the first 4 bars of both the verse and the chorus, you are first of all simply playing a D minor chord broken up into its component parts, and then you do the same thing with the C major chord. Now the D minor chord comprises the notes D, F and A, we know that from the bass chord I've just shown you, and the C major chord comprises the notes C, E and G. So in the case of the D minor, in bars 1 and 2, and therefore bars 9 and 10, we play it in this order. We play A 7 times, and then we play D, then we play F and A. So we go. You hear the tune, what shall we do with the drunken sailor? So we have the A note 7 times, that's row 2 button 3, finger 3. Then we go to the D note, which is row 1 button 2, finger 2. And then we come to the F, row 2 button 1, and back to the A. That is, as you can see, a D minor chord but broken up into its component parts. So that's the D minor bit. In the case of the C major, in bars 3 and 4, and therefore bars 11 and 12, we play the notes in this order. G 7 times. G is row 2 button 2, finger 2. Then we go to our middle C, up to the E, which is 3rd button on that row, and back to the G where we started. So that is, you see, so, and then it works really well, doesn't it, in those shapes. I expect you're wondering what those arrows are at the top there. Well, this is just a bit of a reminder about these shapes I've just shown you. You won't see these on anyone's music but mine, but I've designed these to help you learn parts of the tune in these shapes. So the first 3 arrow diagram is for the first 2 bars. The small numbers are the fingers. The 3rd finger start point is marked. You can see a 3 underneath the word start, and you simply follow the arrows, and this is a triangular V shape. So you start there, go there, and then there. See? Hope you can see that. It's a bit hard to see, I know, on the camera, but so if you follow those arrows, that will help you remember the shape you're making. That's for the first 2 bars. Bars 3 and 4, it's a similar sort of thing, but you can see that it starts there. Finger 2 is the start, goes to finger 1, finger 3. So it is an upturned V this time. You see? So it's that triangle turned on its head, if you like. In bar 6 is the 3 arrow shape, which is just for that bar. You should already have your finger 3 on the A note. And you go to the B, little finger, and then to the C, 2nd finger, and the D, 3rd finger. So the A is row 2 button 3. The B is row 2 button 4, little finger, 4th finger. And then the C, octave C on the one we played earlier, row 3 button 2, finger 2. And then the D, octave on the one we did before, row 3 button 3, finger 3. And if you follow the arrows there, start with finger 3, go to finger 4, over to finger 2, and along to finger 3. So I think these arrow shapes do help. So bars 5 and 6, you're on the pull at this point, of course. Okay, then we go to the next page, and you'll see 2 arrows, and this is to help us do this stepping back thing. So in bar 7, you'll see an arrow with a 2 and a 3, and another arrow with a 2 and a 3. So you're going to do this. You're on the push at that point. So you've got C, then A, fingers 2 and 3, and then G, then E, fingers 2 and 3. Stepping back, row 3 button 2, row 2 button 3, row 2 button 2, row 1 button 3, and you finish bar 8 with 2 Ds. Okay, so I'm going to play that first section through, which is what we call the verse. So I'm going to use my sheet music for this, so don't forget these shapes to help you find your way around the notes. I'll just play the tune to start with. Okay, pretty straightforward, and we all know that tune really well, don't we? Now let's put in these pars, as I call them. So we're not doing par, we're just doing par. So for the first 2 bars I'm playing Okay, the F and A notes together. F is row 2 button 1, A is row 2 button 3. So let's put that together. First two bars on the pull, and for bars 3 and 4 on the left hand I'm going to play the notes E and G, okay, which is the E note is row 1 button 3 and the G is row 2 button 2, fingers 1 and 2. I don't think you can see it like that in the camera there. And that says you're pushing the bellows closed. So this is bars 3 and 4. Okay, and then bar 5 you go back to your first shape. So you've got the F and the A, row 2 button 1 button 3. As the tune climbs up in bar 6, and then we go to the next page. So this is bar 7 where the tune steps back across the rows. Half of bar 7 is a D minor chord and half is a C chord. You'll be on the push, you'll do one par here on the F and the A and one par here on the E and the G. So that's going to be... And then to finish this section, bar 8, you've got 2 Ds in the right hand, and the left hand you'll do a par, and then you'll do the full chord. So the par is the F and the A, and the full chord is D, F and A in that little triangular shape. Bar 8 will sound like this. Alright, so let's play both hands together for this verse. It's very important, don't forget, to pull the bellows out a fair way before you start. Get your bearings before you start, get your fingers on the first few buttons you need. Here we go. And, you know, that is a lot harder than Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I can tell you. So if you are a beginner, you know, you probably will struggle with that, so don't worry. Learn the tune first, learn the left hand. I'll play the left hand on its own so you can see and hear what that is like. Now it's 2 beats to the bar, so I'm going to count 1 and 2 and. Okay, and you know, it sounds like a bit of an excuse, but I think with a better quality instrument that would be a lot easier. But you know, it is what it is. We have to cope with what we're given here. Let's talk about the timing. The time signature is 2/4. This is the equivalent of 2 crotchets in each bar. The types of notes we use in this tune are as follows. We use quavers, which are half a beat. These notes have a single beam joining them to other notes, so the very first note of the tune is a quaver. Okay, and when you draw one of these on its own, it's got a little hook, but we haven't got any single quavers in this tune, so you won't see those. In the bass part, we have quavers stacked for the pars. So when we play these 2 notes together, those are quavers stacked one on top of the other. We have semi-quavers, which are 1/4 of a beat. Now, if you look at the first group of notes in the first bar in the tune, the second and third notes are semi-quavers. So they're only worth 1/4 of a beat, and these notes have a double beam, a double line joining them to other notes. Please note, when drawn on their own, they look like a crotchet with 2 extra hooks. Again, you won't see any on their own in this tune. We have crotchets, which are 1 beat notes. In bars 8 and 16, you'll see crotchets in both hands. In the left hand, the final D minor chord of both the verse and the chorus is written as a crotchet. When we do this D minor chord, that's a crotchet. When we sing Who, Ray and in bar 9, we have a crotchet on the first beat of the bar, then we have a dotted quaver on the Ray and a semi-quaver on the N. So what does it all mean? Right, dotted quaver. The value of these notes is a quaver plus half a quaver. You'll see these in bars 9, 11 and 13 of the right hand tune. Put simply, a dot to the right of a note increases the value of that note by half the original value. If we have one in this tune, although we don't, a dotted minim would be worth 3 beats, a dotted crotchet is 1.5 beats. So in the tune of the verse, okay, what should we do with the Drunken Sailor? We have a quaver, 2 semi-quavers, a quaver, 2 semiquavers and then 4 quavers. We have that pattern for 6 bars followed by 4 quavers and 2 crotchets, and we count it 1 and a 2 and a 1 and 2 and. That's the what shall we do with the drunken sailor. That's for 6 bars, and then early in the morning is 1 and 2 and 1, 2. In the tune of the chorus, the hooray and up she rises, we've got a crotchet, a dotted quaver and a semiquaver and then 4 quavers. We have that pattern for 6 bars followed by 4 quavers and then 2 crotchets, and we count that 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and hooray and up she rises. See? It's the same at the end with the early in the morning, 1 and 2 and 1, 2, early in the morning. Now it's important when you count, make sure the actual numbers, that's the 1 and the 2, are always equidistant. These are the immovable on beats. So no matter how many ands and ers I say, the 1, 2, 1, 2, they never move. You see, so we have 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2 and 1 and a 2 and see the 1, 2, they never move. 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and 1, 2, a 1 and 2 and I always vocalise my counting like this. It really helps me get the timing right and locks in those on beats. Now look at the 2 staves in each grand stave, the 2 staves joined by the bracket, to see how the left hand lines up with the right. If you're only playing the pars in the left hand, ignore the single bass notes and only look at the pairs of bass notes which give you the par effect. Look at the first bar, you're only looking at those 2 notes that are stacked one on top of each other, not the single notes. Like it says, try playing just the pairs of notes in the bass line only, the pars if you like. Now in bars 1, 3 and 5, notice how the 3rd and 6th semiquaver notes of the right hand are played on their own after the par. Similarly in bars 9, 10 and 11, that's in the chorus of course, the final note of the bar in the right hand is a semiquaver which comes after the par. So on that word and, you can see that semiquaver there, which is got the line joining it to the dotted quaver and then a tiny extra little line just to show you that it is a semiquaver. And it's this slotting of the 2 hands together, it's one of the hardest things to master, so take your time with it and play slowly. It's a very big step up, this tune, from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, even with the bass notes added, so give yourself time to learn this one. It will take a fair time to put together. We have repeated bars. 1 and 5 are the same, 13 and 9 are the same, 10 and 2 are the same, 14 and 6 are the same, and bars 15 and 16 are the same as bars 7 and 8. I mean, if your instrument's up to it, by all means do the full par that I showed you earlier. On the D minor it's the, on the C it's, but I think that's very hard, especially on this type of instrument. So if you do that full bass, the counting will be 1 and 2 and, as you do par. If you do play this full bass part, you're playing the root note for the okay? But I don't think you'll do that. I would advise against it at the moment, especially if you're an absolute beginner. So that is Drunken Sailor. I'm just going to play it through for you so you can hear the whole thing from start to finish. And yeah, it doesn't take that long to explain, but there's a lot there, isn't there? So there we are, that is What Should We Do with the Drunken Sailor, commonly known as Drunken Sailor. And you know, it's a fair old piece to learn, especially for a beginner. Obviously try and play it evenly, don't rush bits, don't slow bits down. Play the whole thing at the speed you can play it. So if you can only play it at this kind of speed, There's no shame. Much better to do that than try and rush the first couple of bars and then slow right down on harder bits if you find them harder. Play it nice and slowly and then gradually build the speed up. But you never need to rush, and if you're playing and falling over all over the place, playing lots of wrong notes, obviously that's a real sign that you're trying to rush it. So slow it right down. You've only got yourself to please at first. Obviously you're not going to be playing any major concerts anytime soon, I'm guessing, so you know that can come in the future perhaps, but at the moment nice and easy does it. I strongly advise, although I've said in my previous lessons, some tutors say don't do this, they say learn both hands together, but I think that's very hard to do if you're a beginner. So I would say learn the tune first, learn the right hand first. Once you've learnt the tune, start adding in those pars, those little F's and A's on row 2 and the E's and G's on rows 1 and 2. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoy learning this tune, and you'll see me in my next tutorial.